Hey friends, I'm back. We're going to talk a little bit about our history paper, so if you don't have it out, you might want to go get it. And if you have some color crayons, you might want to get those ready too for the back of the paper. So we're going to talk about symbols of America. Remember when we talked about the Statue of Liberty? Well, the Statue of Liberty is one of our symbols of America, along with the Liberty Bell. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the Statue of Liberty was a gift from another country, France. It was given to America on our 100th birthday. Right now, America is over 200 years old. That's old. And the Statue of Liberty is made of copper, so it's green right now. Remember when I told you about the penny? Let me scoot my camera over. Our pennies are made of copper, and when they get really, really wet, they turn green. I found one on the ground the other day and I forgot to bring it in, but it's a green penny. It kind of looks like it's dirty, but copper just turns green when it gets wet. And the Statue of Liberty is sitting on a tiny island in New York Harbor, which means it's kind of has water all around it. So water splashes on it, mist gets on it, and that's why it's green. But it was a gift from France on our 100th birthday, and now we're almost over 200 years old. So the Statue of Liberty has a longer name, and it's called Liberty Enlightening the World. A lot of people, when they see the Statue of Liberty, they think of freedom. We have freedom in America. Can you think of some of the things that we just get every day that we don't even think about? I could name a few. Good food, a warm home, a school to go to, a safe place to play outside. Did you know that there's kids around the world that they can't even go outside and play because they're afraid they might get hurt or somebody might harm them? We don't have that fear. We get to go in our backyards or our front yards or even at the park down the street whenever we want to. We get to choose what we want to eat. Our moms and dads, this is what I do for my kids. I would ask Lee every week, what would you like me to buy at the grocery store? What would you like to eat this week? And he would tell me something, whether it's pizza or tacos. And then I would ask Kelly, what would you like to eat? I would ask Rachel, what would you like to eat? And I would get them all their favorite drinks. One of them likes orange juice, one of them likes grape juice, and the other one likes lemonade. I always got their favorites because I can. In some countries, you just only get to have maybe rice for dinner. Maybe if you ever had meat, it was just a teeny tiny bit, and you didn't get to say, ooh, I don't like that. We have freedom in America, and we need to be thankful for that. Sometimes when I pray for the rain, even though we don't get to go outside, I'm so thankful that everything's turning green outside, and that God is watering, and that we have plenty of fresh water to drink. Some places don't even have clean water. Can you imagine not having a water bottle anytime you wanted a drink? Well, we can be thankful for all those freedoms that we have in America. And when people look at the Statue of Liberty, that's what they think of, freedom. And thousands of people from all of the world will come to America just because they want to be free like you. Aren't you thankful for that? Aren't you thankful that your mom and dad comes home or your grandma and grandpa comes home every night and that we just get to know that they're going to be safe? Well, there's also another symbol of liberty, and it's called the Liberty Bell, and that is in Philadelphia. So it has a little crack on it, actually has a big crack on it. We don't ring it anymore, but many years ago, the Liberty Bell is just another, because the word liberty is in it. It stands for our freedom. So we can be thankful for all the things that we have. Turn your paper over. Do you have it out? Did you write your name on it? That's always the first thing I want you to do. So on there are 5 things that we could be thankful for. And one of them, I think right away of Thanksgiving, because the Pilgrims came to America because they wanted to worship God the way they thought God wanted us to worship. They wanted to pray. They wanted to go to church. They wanted to read their Bible. So church is one of our choices that we get to make in America. Which church would I like to go to? And we also get to choose our leaders. We just are electing our president. We get to choose. Some people like one, some people don't like the other. But we get to make that decision. And our Bible, read our Bible, pray every day. Remember, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God. Do you go around the house singing that one? If you haven't, sing it today. to your mom or dad or your grandma or grandpa or maybe even your brother or sister. But sing, "In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you." And our homes. I'm so thankful that we get a school building and a home that is warm today because it's cold outside. I don't like to be cold. I like to come inside knowing that my toes are going to be warm in a few minutes. And then good food. We already talked a lot about that. What are you most excited about for Thanksgiving? Aren't you glad that we have a country that we can live in and that we don't have to be worried about anything around us? I'm going to take you over to the map. Come along with me. I'll try not to be too wiggly and jiggly, but I want to show you where France is. So these are all the places that we're going to talk about in our social studies this year. Okay, so we already know North America, that's where we live. That's the purple part. And Mexico, right here. Those are our southern friends, and our northern friends are in Canada. Pretty soon we'll talk about people in Peru. And here's the little islands of Bahamas. Here's the Netherlands. Here's England. Here's Europe. Here's Italy. Here's Israel. Remember we talked about Israel the other day? This teeny tiny little island where God's people lived. And they made choices just like we do. They chose to worship, and then they chose to not worship him sometimes or tell their children about him. So we need to make sure that we are always reading our Bible and praying every day so we can tell others about him too. All right, pretty soon in Africa, we're going to talk about Kenya, and in China and Japan, over in the Asia area. Oh, remember we talked about Atlanta yesterday, the Atlantic Ocean. Remember the Pilgrims? They came from England and they traveled forever on that Mayflower boat. And they finally got to Massachusetts, right over here, around the area where we live in. And then our last country we'll talk about is Australia. So I'm really excited to talk to you about all these new countries. And most importantly, I want you to be thankful for our country that we live in and the freedoms and the choices that we have. Can you think of some other symbols that we've talked about? I have one right here over my shoulder, the American flag with our 50 stars on it. Can you think of another one? How about the eagle? The eagle soars high and protects their children. Man, if you never want to go to near an eagle's nest, and I don't think you ever will, but it will attack you because it wants to protect. So the eagle stands for protection. All right, and we have that here. Did you guys thank a veteran last week on Veterans Day? If you haven't, I want you to think or ask your parents or your grandparents if you have any veterans in your family or maybe your church or maybe even in your neighborhood, and maybe they can point one out to you. All right, I want you to think of some other symbols, and I want you to look around the flags all over your cities and your towns and spot them and point them out, okay? Our good old red, white, and blue. All right, you guys have a good rest of the day, and don't forget to color nicely on the back of your paper about the things that we can be thankful for. In this Thanksgiving holidays, I want you to be thankful for your family, your warm house, and the good food that you get to eat. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.